So, welcome to those of you that are here. I hope there's many subscribers in this live stream. Please share the link with your friends and family on your own social media platforms so more people can come and watch this. I'll be giving you some uh, tips tonight and explain to you again what the current situation is on the grid within Eskom and all the stories around what's happening. I didn't want to put that in the headline for the video. The main focus is telling you what to do about load shedding, what you can do. And yeah, it's great to have you here. I see there's a few non members here. So hopefully we can get a lot more non members into the stream as we go along. So, how's everyone doing? If you have any questions, you can pop some questions into the chat as we wait for more subscribers and members from the public to join us live. Hi, Jureta. Hi, Lorraine. All the way from Durban. Andres, hi. You're 100% prepared for load reductions. Okay. Um, I will cover a bit more than just that because load shedding has many other influences on society. It's not just about your power situation, it's about how people behave because of it, etc. So there's a lot more to the discussion tonight. So welcome to everyone. We have about 88 people watching now. I'll get going when we uh, get to about 120 people, and then the stream should grow to a few hundred people by the time we get going as the links go out. You did post the link. Thanks, Marlene. So, so again, tonight we're going to talk about the situation within Eskom right now, what is happening globally with regards to energy supply, how that's influencing South Africa, the decision making around our government, and various things that's happening because of Cyril Ramaphosa's discussions with Biden. And the main focus will be what you can do about load shedding. And a lot of people will say, but it's not affecting me. It could in future because other people that are load shed could be affected in ways that could end up influencing your life in a big way. So we have to talk about that. Okay. So I'm glad to see that there's more subscribers coming into the stream. We have just over 100 people watching now. Welcome to all of you. Yeah, we need more people to like the video so that we can get more people to see it. Derek says Ramaphosa said the tenders were put out for 420 megawatts. Yeah, that's a couple of small towns. When the country is using at this stage 28,000 megawatts at peak, then I don't get excited over things like that. One good news is that Kubik Unit 1 is up and running, both units up and running. So both units are about 950 megawatts power generated, and they're putting out between 910, 915 megawatts to the grid. So it's over 1,800 megawatts from Kubik. That's almost 2 stages of load shedding. So that's really awesome. And that is why your load shedding would look a bit better because 1 cubic unit is close to 1 stage. So it's really awesome. I want to congratulate everyone at Kubik that's made it possible. And yeah, it'll make a big difference going forward. A lot of those units run for 300, 400 plus days non-stop without a single trip. It's got the best record in the Eskom fleet, and we need to seriously look at nuclear new build within South Africa. Considering that we've trained up a whole host of people, we've prepared sites and so on. And this has nothing to do, once again, with the Russian nuclear deal. This has to do with Eskom procuring new nuclear. And I'm going to tell you what is happening right now. Initially, with regards to that, we have over 200 people watching now. Welcome. What is happening right now is old coal-fired power stations are being repurposed as part of Joe Biden's plan for South Africa, because it's not like, well, we don't elect our president. He goes overseas and then he gets told what to do. And, Joe Biden has said we're going to get rid of our coal sooner. And because of that, we're going to repurpose some of these coal-fired power station sites. And it's funny that they won't do it to their sites, but they'll do it to ours. And then they'll use our coal. Fascinating. So they are going to be putting in solar panels at these coal-fired power stations on these sites, and with battery backup systems. And I'll speak to you about battery backup when we get to what you can do in your house. On a large-scale grid, batteries can discharge really fast into the grid, but it takes long to recharge them. So when people say that batteries are baseload, it's not true. It's a semblance of baseload. It's more for load conditioning more than anything else. And I'm not going to go into the technical details, but batteries cannot do what a baseload station can do. End of story. It's not possible for batteries to do that until the day that batteries are just as efficient as being loaded as they are at discharging. They cannot function like baseload. So if you, for instance, have a solar installation at like Kumati, where they are repurposing the power station, and various of the other plants, when you put in those solar panels and you put battery backups on there, they can discharge during the night. Once they discharge, it's going to take a while for those solar panels to recharge those same batteries. So you can't use it for a period of time. You're going to still need coal or nuclear or gas backup. And that's very important to understand. So a lot of people think that if you add batteries to it, then renewable energy like wind and solar will be like baseload. It's not true. Not with the technology we have currently, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. A battery does take longer to charge than it does to, on that scale, than it does to actually discharge. So, yes, it's awesome to see a lot more people in the stream that aren't members. We really need to reach the public out there with this information. I already did a public live stream on Eskom before. It's close on 30,000 views. So it was really well received. And tonight I'm going to tell you things that you can do, and I'll explain to you why you need to do those things in your home, and things that could happen in future because of load shedding. So, like I said, I gave you the good news that Kubik Unit 2 is up and running. Both units are running. So that's almost 2 stages of load shedding. Some of the coal-fired power stations might come back and then more break down. And there's various reasons for their breakdowns. It's not because there's a lack of coal, people. These are not a lack of coal breakdown. There's so much fake news floating around out there. This is not the case. There are real breakdowns at the power stations for various reasons, trips, etc. And a lot of them are due to boiler tube leaks because of the aging infrastructure. And a lot of it is maintenance related. In other words, the stations have to literally run to maintenance to the point where they need to be maintained. And so if you can't get into a schedule of maintaining them like you should, then you're going to get breakdowns. You're going to get trips, and there's various things that can happen. Your fast draft fangs can fail, your mill banks can fail, conveyors, many other things. Okay. So I really want to thank you for being interested in this topic. We have over 300 people watching now. Welcome to all those of you that are here. The main topic for tonight is what you can do about load shedding and how it could affect you. And I just quickly, once again, want to explain what load shedding is. Load shedding helps us to maintain the national grid stable, for there not to be a grid collapse. So it is actions taken to stop the grid from collapsing and a blackout from happening. So as long as load shedding happens, there will not be a grid blackout. Okay? The smaller the grid becomes, the more unstable the grid becomes. So once your grid goes to 18,000 to 16,000 megawatts and you lose a big unit like at Coburg, that could be problematic, because if the frequency drops enough, you could trip out all the other units, and then we have means of restarting them all. We call it a black start, and Coburg as well as Drakensberg can do that. And there's a lot of black starts tests done at many other power stations to make sure that they can start themselves up from scratch and these tests are regularly done. So we'll be able to get the grid back up and running if something like that should happen. So people shouldn't think that the grid will be shut down for a massively extended period of time. However, if something like that should happen, the problem is that bad things happen within a shorter space of time. Within 2 days, the country can be in a complete state of chaos, and we don't have the military or the police to control that at this stage. And I think it's evident everywhere in the country where there has been any kind of uprising or people protesting, that the military and the police aren't capable of controlling situations like that. They're just not equipped enough. They don't have enough staff to do it. And I don't think they're well enough trained to deal with it in any case. If there's many citizens deciding to do something that is considered illegal, then they are the boss at the end of the day. And there's not much you can do about that. So we want to keep the grid stable. This is very important. We need to make sure that the Eskom grid remains stable, and that is what's happening right now. And load shedding is a part of the actions taken to make sure that it remains stable. We probably have the best grid control operators in the world. These guys don't lose entire areas. They literally, we are actually implementing load shedding, which is a more civil way of dealing with load curtailment. In other words, where you don't have enough generating capacity for the demand on the grid. And I don't think there's any other place in the world that deals with it as well as we do. So in other places in the world, when they have problems on the grid, they black out large areas. That's literally what happens. It's unannounced. And I think a lot of people would rather prefer them knowing when the power is going to be out and that it be regular than not expecting it, not knowing how long it's going to be out for. So in that sense, it's sad that load shedding is taking place, but it's probably most people would prefer that they know when it happens and how bad it's going to be. Now, that doesn't make it acceptable at all. And we need to look at what is our government doing at this stage about it. And the answer is nothing. Not what is necessary. So, what is necessary right now? What can we do about load shedding? We should put pressure on the government to build new generating capacity, base load capacity. So, I want all of you in whatever capacity to try and speak about that. That we should either build new nuclear, if they don't want to build coal, nuclear, gas. We should put in gas pipelines to Garikwa and Ankerlig, which is near Mossel Bay, as well as here in Cape Town, close to Kuburg. At Atlantis, we've got Ankerlig. So those stations, if they could be supplied by gas, the cost will reduce greatly. In fact, it might even be cheaper than coal if we can get gas for cheap and we can pipe it to those stations. We can swap over from diesel to gas. It'll make a massive difference. It'll be a lot cleaner what is burnt, so it'll be better for the environment. And it's not that I'm saying that gas is what we should use. I'm saying we have no option. And it's the same with nuclear. We have no alternative right now. We need baseload capacity. And like I said in the last video, we need it fast. And because of the lead times in actually getting contracts in place, preparing sites, preparing a project, and all of that, if we should have started a long time ago. We haven't. So all we're doing now is mitigating how bad this is going to get. If we don't do something immediately, nothing will be left because the stations will just keep on breaking down more and more and more. And getting new hands on board, having a new person with all the skills might help you to maintain something and do it maybe faster, more efficiently. But a piece of metal cannot perform better because a new person is employed within Eskom. That person needs to know how that metal is maintained and needs to be given a chance to maintain that metal with grease or whatever the case may be, or with lube oil, whatever. So you need to understand the context. Government saying we have just put X amount of people back into Eskom is not going to solve the problem overnight. And those people will tell you exactly the same thing. They can definitely make a difference in transferring skills. But if you don't have the time to do maintenance, which is something we don't have right now, we're in trouble. Because at the moment, you might be maintaining 6,000 megawatts worth of capacity while you have 16,000 megawatts broken down. So the breakdowns are a bigger factor at this stage, a much bigger factor. And we need to consider that. So at the end of the day, this is not something that's going away quickly. Okay. I'm 15 minutes in now, so I'm going to get into the nitty gritty and giving you advice. Because this is not going away, you need to prepare yourself in some way or form to be energy independent. And the first thing I want you to do is go and look at the calorific value of various forms of energy. So go study what forms of energy are. And then you will see what wood can supply you with, coal can supply you with, paraffin, uh, gas, electricity, etc. Okay. And you will then see what is the most efficient for you or the most cost effective, what equipment you need to actually use those forms of energy. And it might not be electricity, it might just be for cooking or light or whatever the case may be. But you can substitute how you cook, how you make light, for instance, how you make heat for yourself with something that is not electricity. This is absolutely possible. People have been doing it for eons before electricity came along. So go and study what the calorific value is of various energy sources so that you know how much energy they can give you for the current cost. Okay. And then see what devices you can purchase or barter or whatever to actually use those forms of energy. So that's the first thing I want to tell you. And then make sure that you can transport that form of energy. Look at the pros and cons, study it, and then make your own decision. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You need to decide what you want to do. I've made sure that I have gas. That's my preferred choice. And I can cook with it. I can make light with it. And that's the main thing I need with gas. I've got various cylinders that's small enough for me to transport easily if I have to. So it's important that you decide how you want alternative sources of energy. Now, with regards to what you are using in your house right now, a lot of people would have put in a UPS or some backup for the internet so that they can still go on the internet. The internet is very important for many people. But what else do you need to do because of load shedding? When load shedding takes place, on the smaller scale that is taking place now, the grid disturbances aren't as bad. Okay. So generally, if your town or your municipality does load shedding, you shouldn't get massive surges. When it's not them doing and it's national control that out of desperation, they load shed an area because they've just lost a whole lot of units or whatever, you can get voltage spikes through your plugs. So what I recommend you do is plug your devices out of the wall socket when there is load shedding, especially if it's unexpected. If it's unexpected, if it's not on a load shedding schedule, then you know that something else has happened that's not planned. Plug your devices out of the wall socket, because when that power comes back, you might be sorry, because the voltage might spike. Many things can happen. Your device could get damaged. And there's plenty claims going out for things like that right now. So remove your device from the wall socket. Yes, you're going to have to go on your knees and actually pull it out. For the people that are couch potatoes that are used to a remote in their hand, fortunately, I don't have a TV, so I don't play with a remote anymore. But go on your knees, plug the plugs out, and make sure that you protect your devices. Okay, this is very important. The other thing that you need to make sure of is that you turn things off that you had switched on, like a toaster or an oven or whatever the case may be, a fryer, when the load shedding takes place. A lot of people are forgetting that they've left things on because the power is off. Okay. And when the power goes off, usually uh, people might have prepared candles or something like that, but give yourself a checklist of things, other things that you would normally check to make sure that they are switched off. And switch your stove off at the wall. It should have a switch at the wall to make sure that you don't have something melting on the stove or a plate that comes on while you're asleep at night. So this is causing problems. There has been fires caused because of this. People forgetting. You might have children in your house. Um, that could be influenced by this. So, people, please be careful. When load shedding takes place, make sure that you walk around, switch off everything. And the next thing I want to say is make sure that you have an alternative source of light available in various places. Make sure that you know where it is, that your kids know where it is, and that you always keep it in the same place. So that if the lights go out, you are able to find your way around so that you don't get injured, and make sure that everything is switched off. So these are basic tips that I just want to give you. And just remember, if the power should stay off for an extended period of time, and you know that this is not expected, you know the cell phone towers are going out, rumors might be flying around, the first thing you need to think of is, have you got water to drink? Have you got food to eat? If you're inside shelter, then you're okay. But if you have to move from your shelter for whatever reason, then you need to know, where will you take shelter? If you need alternative shelter, what forms of energy can you use for an extended period of time? And what are you going to do not to go off your rocker? Okay, what are you going to do to remain sane? Those are important things that you should consider. Those are very easy tips that I want to give you, and they are most important. Thank you to all of the over 400 people that are watching now. If you've come in later, please go to the beginning of the video, watch the first part, and see what I covered there with regards to the state of Eskom now. And the fact that our government is not doing anything that is making me excited right now, for mitigating the situation we find ourselves in. So these tips I'm giving you now are very basic tips that you can follow to make sure that your house remains safe, that your kids remain safe, and that you have alternative sources of energy, whether it's gas, whether it's paraffin, whether it's charcoal, wood. It'll be different for many different people. Even spirits can be used to do various things. I remember we used to cook fondue with spirits. So, yeah, there's various forms of energy that we can use. And remember, don't forget that you actually have body heat. And body heat can be used as a heat source to keep you warm if you keep that heat enclosed. So, don't forget that as well. Okay. So, very simple advice to a lot of you. This might be things that you are used to, but there are many people here that might benefit from the advice that I've just given. So, I will take questions now from you with regards to load shedding, any extra tips, and then I'm going to speak to you about what you can do to have additional electricity in the home without having to put solar panels on your roof. And this is very important because I think a lot of people don't see options other than 200,000 to 500,000 Rand installation. And you can make yourself fairly energy independent during load shedding uh, with 15 to 20,000 Rand. And this is not going and buying a device at a hardware. There's easier ways for you to be able to do this. And I don't do things like that, but it's very easy for you to, even with normal lead acid batteries and a basic inverter system, for you to be able to use Eskom's power when it's available to charge those batteries and then discharge them for a short space of time to run your basic electronics when load shedding is taking place. It'll work way better than the UPS. You will be able to run a lot more than just the UPS and your PCs. You'll even be able to run your fridge. Some people have done it for around 15,000 Rand. And to a lot of people, they're not even able to afford that. But you don't have to go and spend 200,000 Rand to compensate for load shedding. And we'll go into the details of that later. Okay. So, any questions? Let's go through the questions. We have 450 people watching. Welcome to this live stream. If you have not watched the beginning, please go and watch the whole live stream. And then please like this video and share it with your friends and family. I think these basic tips are very important for most people. Hopefully soon I'll do some interviews with other people that are energy experts that you might see in the news, etc. And we will discuss very specific things with regards to what is happening right now. And I think it'll be good for you to get other people's perspective as well. Okay, Andre says use your share button, it drives the algorithm up. Absolutely. Anton says you can switch off plug circuits at the DB, leave light circuits on to see when power is back. Absolutely, Anton. Some people are afraid to go to a DB board and actually switch off the main breaker. That's another very good tip. Get someone to show you what is what on your DB board so you're not afraid of it, so that you get used to it, so that you can do what Anton has just said. It makes it a lot easier, it's a lot quicker, a lot more efficient. In some places, your DB board sits in awkward places. It's maybe difficult to get to. It might be above your fridge or above a cupboard or inside a cupboard. It might be difficult for you to reach it. And but a DB board is a place where you know that you can switch everything off without any issues. Okay. Esther says, I keep use tea bags to dip in paraffin that I light as a candle in a safe area or space. Yeah, Esther, there's many ways of actually making light or using very efficient things that are very cheap to be able to still do things. And a lot of people cook with that. There's many cooking devices that you get that use a couple of charcoal bricks that you can use to cook. Like the Poiki King and many others, they actually are very efficient devices. So there's many things on the market. T-Man says I spend 1,500 on load shedding and I'm good. Also, Marlene says I need advice to charge my batteries without Eskom power. Well, the thing is, Eskom power is available from time to time, and in that time that it is available, you can charge batteries so that when you really need it, you can use those. It's just with lead acid batteries, you don't want to go below 40% discharge because once you do that, they're not going to last long. But they are much cheaper than some of these batteries that you're going to buy and spend 30,000 Rand on the battery alone. A lot of people cannot afford that, where some people might be able to save up and buy an inverter and some lead acid batteries that can deliver 5 kilowatt for them for 15,000 Rand. It's possible to actually do that. Okay. So you don't have to go and spend a fortune to mitigate load shedding fairly effectively. That is what I'm saying. And there's many people that are coming up with very nice ways of just using Eskom's power when it is available to charge batteries that they can then use. Call it a UPS on steroids. Okay. Nico, old infantry boys like Esbit tablets and penny stoves cooking in my fire bucket. Absolutely. Angie, hi Des. Do you suggest one keep spare lead acid batteries for our inverters? No, that's not what I suggest you do. What I do suggest is that the people that can't install solar panels or get a fright when they see the price, that you can actually build a circuit that is based on when Eskom's power is available. And then when Eskom is load shedding, you can then use your batteries can be used to power whatever devices you have. But it will help if you can monitor your batteries and see that you don't take them below 40%. It's not advised. Okay. Yes, Elliot, generators are expensive to run. They're very noisy. We are in Durbanville. You can hear generators running from time to time, and it can be quite frustrating. But, if a person wants to generate electricity that way, it's something that's portable often. You can take it with you in a vehicle, and as long as you have fuel supply, you can run it. Okay. I feel, for instance, that is if you want electricity. I feel people must get used to being able to use other sources of energy for cooking, light, and heating. I'll repeat that. People need to get used to using other sources of energy for cooking, light, and heating. Okay. Wow, Cindy says my neighbor's generator reads at 83 decibels in my bedroom. Yeah, that's sad. That's one of the consequences, and it's not a nice consequence. And these things are going to become normal now. So, I mean, I went to a hardware store today to fetch something mundane, and you just see this massive pile of gadgets that you can buy to that normally has some kind of a battery built into it with all sorts of plug outputs, USBs, the whole bang shoot, and they're expensive. You're gonna fork out 20 to 30,000 rand for most of these devices, and they cannot do what that 15,000 rand system can do. So if you do a bit of research and you speak to the right people, then a neighbor or friend or someone could maybe help you to do things like that. So yeah, do some research. Hester says, I will propose an inverter with one car battery, total max 4,800 and keeps my internet, laptop, as well as few lights on. I have a gas geyser and small gas stove, so I'm all set. That's awesome, Hester. One thing that we've done as a family is our energy, alternate energy, we wanted it to be portable. So I don't want it to be stuck to the property like solar panels. So even if I have solar panels, I would want to be able to move them. You can buy portable solar panels. It's absolutely possible. But my energy sources, I can move. I can put it in a car, in a trailer, and I can take it with me. So, yeah, that's important. Okay. Stay curious. I've seen some research done on using iron particles as fuel to run a furnace, minimum emissions, and a large part of the fuel can be recycled, seeing that almost a quarter of the Earth's crust is iron. There's a lot of research happening now on other forms of energy. Remember, energy and electricity. Electricity is a form of energy. And obviously, we can use electricity to make a light, to run devices, and many other things. You can't often use gas to do that. So, yeah. The industry for refining iron is well known. Absolutely. I'm also sure the conversion from coal fired power stations to this world would not be difficult or costly. You know, it's about political will at the end of the day. So, what is happening to the old coal fired power stations now is something that's being driven from overseas. I know the Rockefeller Foundation is involved and many others. So, I will do a separate video just on that. I want to do a live stream just on what Biden and the rest of the gang has told Cyril to do with our coal-fired power stations. And just remember, Eskom has to follow what the government says. So Eskom cannot decide what they want to do. Let me make that clear. The writer has not got a choice. He could advise, but he's told what to do. Let me make that clear. So you will see the government playing a two-edged game. They want to blame Eskom for something, but meantime, they're not giving Eskom permission to do what they wanted to do technically. Because back in the day, Eskom was left alone to make their own decisions, and real technical people were involved. I mean, the CEO of Eskom was raised within Eskom as an engineer all the way to the top. When I got there, and Ian McRae was there. I mean, that guy worked his way to the top. And so he knew Eskom inside out. He knew power generation inside out. And that is not the case today. So political appointees, they are a problem. And now the government is looking at putting new people into the Eskom board. And I think to myself, what use is that going to be? We will have to see who they are. But they can't fix a broken tube in a boiler. How is putting someone in the board going to fix that broken tube in the boiler? Some artisan, the operators have to cool that boiler down. They have to make sure that there's no impurities inside there so that someone can enter in there into a confined space, that there's enough air in there so that the person can breathe. And then he must go and find that tube and cut out other tubes, fix that one, and then weld the rest back. It's a flippin' mission. Go and look at what a boiler tube looks like, boiler tube bundles. Then you will understand what the people in Eskom are dealing with. And you'll start gaining respect for people that used to shut down for 2 weeks for a boiler tube leak. Now they fix it within 3 days. That's how much they have to fix things like that. So it's incredible the turnaround times actually on these units. So it's not like the guys aren't fixing the units; they are. There's obviously a few things that have happened, like the one unit where the generator exploded. That's a massive refurbishment job, and other events like that. So yeah, it's going to take a long time to fix something like that. Bernie says most businesses need power during the day, hence solar and wind power generation could help keep the businesses going. For the business itself, yes. The thing is, during the day, you might have solar energy feeding into the grid, okay? You might have wind energy feeding into the grid. But the thing is, when it's not there, it could be gone instantly. The other problem is the solar is not always close to where the big businesses are. So when you have a large scale grid, it becomes very difficult for solar to actually be efficient, because if it's sitting in the Northern Cape and there's no industries there, you have to transfer that energy for hundreds of kilometers to where you actually need it on the grid. Now, I'm not saying that you can't anchor the grid that way, but at night, when that power is gone, you create a grid imbalance. And now you need a coal-fired power station or a nuclear power station to. It can't be a nuclear power station. It has to be a coal-fired power station. The nuclear power station runs balls to the wall all the time. So the coal-fired power station, when that solar comes into the grid, they have to cut back. When the wind comes in, they have to cut back. So Eskom is making less money. I don't think it's fair. It's not fair at all. And then Eskom has to charge those very high fees for wind and solar to you at the end of the day. And then Eskom gets blamed for it. That's absolute nonsense. What they need to do is, when they actually separate transmission into the different sections, then IPPs are going to have to compete with the coal stations, with the hydro stations, with the nuclear stations and the gas stations. They're going to have to compete with them, price for price. And then your eyes are going to open. You're going to get quite a fright when you actually see how much you're paying for those things. You did your mechanical trade at Mayuba in the 90s. Awesome. Yeah, it's awesome that some people actually did trades. I don't know how well that is doing at the moment. Welcome to the over 500 people watching now. Those of you that have come on late, please go and watch the beginning of the video. Please like the video so that the algorithm will drive this as much as possible. So I've given quite a few tips for people that they can use, and I'm not going to carry on for much longer, that they can use during load shedding, things to consider. And one of the important things to consider is when the load shedding that you are getting is not tied to the schedule that was given to you. If it stays off for longer, the cell tower batteries go down, etc., you need to understand what's happening. You need to make sure that you have alternative means of energy. And what I said at the beginning is, get to know the calorific value of various energy sources so that you can see kilo for kilo, rand per rand, what is the best energy source that you can use in your circumstances, and what's it going to cost, and what devices can you purchase to actually use with that. And in many cases, if you're looking at paraffin and so on, I mean, you can use many things with that to actually produce heat, light, and a way to cook. So yeah. Okay, Nico has some experience on working with assembling, commissioning, maintenance of gas and flash wall boilers, plate heat exchangers, space, and water steam heaters. Not something board members will know. Absolutely, Nico. And the problem is fixing the board is not going to fix the units. Maybe the board will realize we need to build new generating capacity. But the path that our president has chosen is to listen to an outside entity that we didn't elect, Joe Biden, telling him what to do. He's accepted that, and we're going to start shutting down our coal-fired power stations early. That's what's going to happen. And our coal that would have gone there is going to be exported. It's already happening. Already the rubbish is being sent to our coal stations. You know about the swapping out of the loads. It's absolutely shocking what is happening. And I don't know if they appoint new people to this board, if it's going to make a difference. Maybe if I look at their background, I will see if they will be able to give a proper input. But what I see happening in future now, with evidence, is that there's no intent on building any proper baseload right now, and this is a travesty. So the advice I'm giving you now is built on the fact that load shedding will just get worse. If they're building a 430 megawatts or an extra 1,000 megawatts or 2,000 megawatts, that's not going to hack it. We would have to contract our economy, have less industry, if that's going to work. We have more than enough electricity in this country to run PCs in people's homes. In fact, we have loads of electricity to run people's homes. What we don't have is electricity to run industry, large scale industry. That's what we don't have. And that is a huge problem. If you haven't watched my last video where I lay out the nitty gritty, go and watch it. It's at close on 30,000 views now. And hopefully this video will also get many views, because the tips I give, they're very important. They're important for you to consider. Understanding the circumstances is also important. And I want to ask all of you to put pressure wherever you can on government, on social media, or wherever, to build new baseload capacity. That can be in the form of nuclear, it can be in the form of gas, if they don't want coal, or else we have to build more coal. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of people will trust us building anything at this stage, looking at what happened to Medupi and Kusile. So, what the people should absolutely hope is that Kuba can extend its life for another 20 years, and that the power stations that we do have, that we stabilize them and try and keep a semblance of sanity until we either change this governance system so that we can actually make decisions on putting new generation capacity in place, because just putting up propellers and solar panels is not going to do it. It cannot, even with batteries. Like I said, batteries take much longer to charge than it takes for them to discharge on that large grid scale. So you can only use it really for power conditioning more than anything else. That's the honest truth. Yeah, Tammy, people do need to be. It's not just about being prepared. It's about being able to look after yourself anytime. Andre says, build nuclear. We need more units at Kuburg and the rest of the country. Well, they can build 4 more units at Kuburg. They can build 2 units up country where they were planning it, close to Jeffreys Bay, and another 2 units up the west coast. It should have been done already. They would have been halfway with that build, close to finishing up now. And yeah, the public went berserk and they wanted to stop it. They did everything to try and stop it. So now we're living with the consequences. I have no problem if people don't want nuclear power stations, but then live with the consequences. You're going to suffer. And that's the end of it. You know, once you start seeing why wind and why solar cannot do things on a large grid scale without some new battery invention, which we don't have right now. If you haven't studied that, you won't understand. So please make the effort. Make the effort and do that. Okay, Hester says a guy in India built electricity-free fridges from ceramic using water to keep it cold. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, back in the day, people built fridges out of clay and they had water dripping over it. And yeah, I'm not saying that people should go back to that, but that's a means. Study ways of keeping things cool if you can. We are now at a point where we have to think about these things. You need to know how to use paraffin. You need to know how to use spirits to cook, make light, make heat, etc. Never mind gas. If you can't afford gas, those liquids are fairly cheap, readily available. Yeah. Vonnie says 500 plus watching and only 200 likes. There's 332 likes now. It'll really be awesome if we can get it to over 500 likes, so that this video can also be shared to many people. Very important information that you're giving here in the stream, the comments that you're making. Thank you for that, because the people will be able to read your comments when they actually watch this video later, it'll be available for them. JD says, just as long as we don't need to sit with that Russian substandard reactor that Zumpi's. Well, Eskom wasn't interested in that ever. They would have gone through their own procurement process. So that was a completely separate thing that I opposed. Just remember, I am not a pro or anti-nuclear person, or pro or anti-coal, or pro or anti-gas. You have to look at the technology, what is available in the country, what we can build rather quickly, and it must be base load. And this is what you won't see the RE people, the renewable energy people, speak about base load. It's like a swear word to them. Because what they're saying is, but we can build microgrids. Now, if you want to build a microgrid, yes, do that. You can do that at your own home. You can do it at your business. But then we don't need their propellers, because you can produce your own energy. So I don't understand why they want to put. They're going to have to put to replace 30,000 megawatts, people. If they're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 megawatts of renewable energy, how is that going to replace the 30,000 megawatts by 2040? We have 18 years left. Please do explain. I don't understand. Beggars can't be choosers. Well, you don't have to be a beggar if you have your own forms of energy. All I'm telling people is maybe you should understand again how to use paraffin, how to use spirits, how to use a gas stove. Practice using it. Make sure that you have all the devices that you need to be able to cook, to be able to make heat, and to be able to make light. Okay. Well, carbon tax will be coming, and you're going to be paying through your nose. So any item that adds to the carbon footprint is going to be taxed. And, it's once again ironic that us as a country that is called a developing country needs to first shut our coal stations down while the US is still running their coal stations. And they're saying we will do a just transition. I will do my next live stream just on that. I will cover it in detail. Your bek gaan open, your mouth will hang open when you actually see what is going on, because they're turning these old power stations into smart cities. That is what's happening. Okay. Sky Phoenix says, Yebo Marlene, remember the wood stove burned before I could bath back in the day? Absolutely. People used to heat things up to be able to bath. There's many devices like that. You will see these new jacuzzis. Well, they're not new. They've been around for some time, where you just put some wood in a fire, and it with convection circulates the water, and heats up that jacuzzi that you're sitting in. Well, it's not a jacuzzi. It's like a warm little swimming pool. I won't call it a swimming pool, but they're incredible. So there are many other ways that we can use energy. I'll give you an example. And this is a very awesome tip that you can use it or lose it. You can literally, in your fireplace, build pipes into the fireplace right at the bottom. You can build pipes that go down, across, back, and up. Steel pipes that you might make fire on top of. Okay. And then you bend the pipes up at the back, over and up, into not into the chimney stack, but you take them higher up, close to the roof, and then from there you pipe that hot air with normal 50 mil plumbing pipe. You take that all over your house through the ceiling. And what you get is, because of the heat of the fire, it heats up the pipe, it sucks in the cold air at the bottom, and it pumps the hot air out into the rooms all over the house. That can be easily done. You can even put cock valves in there to regulate where you want to send that airflow. So you make a normal fire, you don't need a heater, and you can send heat all over your house. Very, very simple concept. Okay. Marsha says this energy crisis seems to be accelerating worldwide all the same time. Absolutely, Marsha. Just remember that it is supposed to be a worldwide crisis. So this is what Gwede Mantashe is referring to, and he's getting absolutely hammered for it. But there's load shedding happening worldwide, not load shedding. They are losing entire counties and areas, okay, because they don't know how to load shed. So they are tripping out, literally having to cut off areas. We call it brownouts. And in South Africa, we don't have that because we've actually got this off to a T. Uh, yes. Wood gasification, Mark, absolutely. Stunning method to actually use so many different phases of heat generation. Absolutely, Mark. I'm not sure how many people understand how that works, but yes, I've seen one of those hand bolt in action, and it's extremely efficient if you do it properly. In the Eastern Cape, do not fall for the smart meter system. Yeah. G-Ben, you need to make videos how to. Yeah, maybe I should do drawings. Maybe I'll do drawings, and I haven't seen anything like that anywhere on the internet. It's actually a Polish person that told me about this, and at Kubik Nuclear Power Station that I worked with, I think he's in Dubai at the moment. Went for the big money, but he explained to me this method, and it's absolutely genius because there's no working parts. You just have steel pipes at the bottom sucking in air. You're making your fire on top of it. All your flames and heat passes through the pipes as they go up, and then it cools down to a temperature where you won't melt the 50 mil pipes higher up, and you just pipe it all over the house. It's brilliant. It's absolutely incredible. Marlene says maybe some of us need cold showers to wake us up properly. Shock therapy. It sounds like night treatment. You're speaking of hot, cold, near freck. I did that once in Stellenbosch. I nearly frecked. So last time I did talk like that. There's lots of people that believe in it, I suppose. Strong's us says that would be great. Visual tips for easier understanding. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's not really what I wanted to do on this channel, but I can see why I think that would make a difference. So I can make drawings, do a live stream, and actually show you what it looks like and load it to the community tab for all subscribers and the public to see. Okay. Okay. Andres, yes, we have the very best country in the world. And the nice thing is people will come together when things get tough. And, you know, instead of moaning, we just carry on. We're very resilient. And as my wife has often said, maybe too resilient. Often we actually need to take steps to take action, and we don't. And there's a lot that we can do. We certainly need to change this government system that we have now so that we have something completely new. That's very important. Yeah, we have almost 400 likes now. Thank you so much for that. That'll help for this video to be shown to more people. I don't want this to carry on for much longer. Otherwise, most people are going to think I'm not going to go through 53 minutes of a live stream. So, Nico says, way too much heat is lost. Drive past any smelter, many other places too. Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. We all have septic tanks and toilets for gas. Mark, absolutely. So in many countries, septic tanks can be used for gas supply. You can cook with it and many other things. Okay. Hi, Mariana. You're still listening to the Zoom meeting. Yes, Mariana, you can just go and watch from the beginning. I've given quite a few very basic tips that many of you might be familiar with. Those of you that are in the know, but many other people might find these tips very helpful and to really understand what is happening in the country right now. So our government is literally listening to unelected leaders of other countries. We didn't elect those leaders. Neither did we elect our president. So, I mean, that is where the first big problem comes in. Appointing people to the Eskom board now in those vacancies, I don't think they bothered before because they probably knew it wasn't going to make any difference. as long as cadre deployment is seen as a normal thing, which is absolutely obscenely ridiculous. Okay, how can you live in a what we call a democracy and have cadre deployment? Okay, that is a communist system. So we do not live in a democracy. We have communists running this country under the guise of democracy. And this is how people have been fooled, not because of the ANC. The ANC didn't do this. They were put there to destroy the country. They were never capable of running it. And thank goodness they're not capable of installing all the things this new order wants to control our lives and take our freedom away. They're very bad at it, in fact. So I'll rather take them right now than the DA that will implement those things rapid fire and take our freedom away overnight, because this is what they like, power. Frita, Trudy, Niku, smelters expel millions of BTUs per hour through the chimneys. These can be heat exchanged into water, then generate steam and use less coal. Absolutely, Niku. So there's many processes that's putting heat to the atmosphere that can be used, that aren't used. And we need to change the way we live in society. So as long as it's just about profit, people don't care to spend the money to reuse things like that. And I remember my father used to be very upset with the way factories have been designed, and many other things in society, because he said we can do it way more efficiently. And obviously, it doesn't take much to realize that how we construct buildings, how we build things, how we lay things out can change how much energy we actually need. And just remember, the fourth industrial revolution does not need a lot of electricity. So they will shut down all the coal fired power stations. They don't care, because their main trick is to make sure that we have fusion energy. Because if they can harness fusion energy, especially on a small scale, they will be able to literally uh, infinitely power many sources. Okay. Hi, Antoinette, you back? Yeah, this is towards the end of the meeting now. We have 425 likes. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to close off now. If there's no other questions, and Antoinette says it's a slow and expensive process to bring everything to work, but you must just carry on. Yeah, and you must make plans. You can't just resign yourself to the situation. Do something about it, and most South Africans are. It's really awesome to see how people do things. I just want you to make sure that you protect your equipment in your house, that you protect your home as well, and that you go and see what other sources of energy you can use if you haven't done that yet. Okay, so thanks so much for joining this live stream. Next time I will cover in detail. I'm going to do more subscriber live streams. Okay, in future, at least once a week there will be a subscribers live stream. The members live streams are Thursday evenings. And the one thing I want to say to the members, everything that I do in the meetings, I've discussed in a lot more detail with the members in the past. It's just people have asked me to do condensed versions. So that's what I've done. Nobody is missing out on anything. Uh, the detail we go into in the members' live chats is extensive, because often those chats are 2-3 hours long. So, yeah. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Please like. If we can get to 500 likes, it'll really be awesome. We're at 439 now. Thank you so much. Keep well, Lorraine. Strongs are us. Marlene, Clinton, G, Mark. Stay very soon in the next live. It might still be in this week for subscribers, but Thursday evening I'll see the members in the live chat. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed this speaking to you again, and I will be doing more live streams in future. I need to focus on that a lot more, besides just putting out normal videos, because there's a lot more we can discuss in this time. So please keep on liking and share this video with as many people as you can. I think it's important that people listen to the information and also read your comments. Okay. Good night, everyone. Remember to share love out there. We do live in a stunning country, uh, the best in the world, the safest in the world. A lot of people might disagree with me, but with what is going to happen in the rest of the world, people will absolutely be so jealous of us when things go wrong in their side of this world. We're in a very special place. We need to look after it and protect it with everything we've got. Good night, everyone.